Hello, I'm Alina, a member of the League of Women Voters of Kitsap. The League of Women Voters does not support or oppose any candidate, but works to provide information about the candidates and issues before the vote. We are interviewing candidates who will appear on your primary ballot, which you should receive in the mail in mid-July. We will be asking 3 questions. The candidates have 90 seconds to answer each question. Let's get to know Seth Hartman. Seth, you have 90 seconds to introduce yourself and tell us why you chose to run for North Kitsap School Board Position 1.
Okay, thank you, and I appreciate the time. Good afternoon, I'm Seth Hartman, and I'm running for the North Kitsap School Board Director, District 1. I grew up in Paulsbo, and I really love this town and this community. I graduated North Kitsap High School in 1995, then joined the military, and when I left Paulsbo, I always wanted to complete my service, move back home, and do something positive for the community that raised me. We moved back home last June, and I have 2 young kids in the North Kitsap School District. So I have a pretty strong desire to ensure that they and all other kids have the best experiences and opportunities as they progress. And I truly want to be a driving factor in improving the outcomes across the district, not just academically, but really who our students become as members of our community. I have just over 29 years of experience in the military, leading and working teams from all over the world with different backgrounds, different experiences, and have had been pretty successful in our endeavors. I believe I have a tireless work ethic and a desire for excellence, and I will always prioritize education for all of our students. Again, overall, I have a lifelong desire for service, and as I leave the Army, my desire remains strong. I really don't have an agenda or any kind of preconceived ideas of what my experience on the board will be like, but I'm certain that I will face every issue individually and fully invest my efforts in creating the best environment for our students and our district.
Great, thank you. Now to our first question. Do you support putting a new bond proposal on the ballot in 2026? If so, what would your priorities be for the funds? And if not, how would you plan to address the district's aging facilities?
Yeah, this is a great question, and I don't think I can truly answer it without looking deeper into the current levies that were passed in 2022 and 2024, and really gaining a better understanding of what the community prioritizes. I know that in February of 2024, a bond did not pass, so I'm very interested in looking more into that, and it should give me a better idea of what is truly needed and supported by the community. However, overall, my priority when talking about improving our district is that students have the same level of accommodations and resources, regardless of the size or location of their schools. We have to start ensuring the classrooms and facilities are safe. I think there's no question there. And then we can work towards modernizing, innovating the classrooms to enhance and enable teaching capabilities. I think the right solution will be found through frequent and deliberate conversations between the board, administrators, and the community. I mean, we all want to be proud of our district, but that doesn't always mean we have the newest and shiniest things. To me, it means we have capable, happy, and thriving students, however we get there.
Great, thank you. Let's go on to question 2. How will you support all students academically, physically, mentally, and against bullying, particularly children whose identities have led to them being undersupported or excluded historically?
Okay, that's another great question. I think it starts by ensuring that our teachers and staff have the resources necessary to educate and support all of our children, understanding the various needs and differences of the school district's families. We're not all the same, and that's okay. Um, we ask so much of our teachers and our staff, but often we fall short in providing them the things and information they need. I think we need the right people in our schools who have the right training resources and the desire to prioritize all children, and they need to understand the impact of being excluded or marginalized. We can accomplish this through lots of different kinds of training, but the focus always needs to be on all of the children. Um, I think that there needs to be deliberate and actionable dialogue between parents and the district, because the reality is that our schools are not equipped or trained to handle every situation, especially with the ever-evolving landscape that we live in. We can improve our capabilities by hiring staff that are specifically trained and, more importantly, are not overburdened by multiple roles, causing dilution in their ability and purpose. We often see that with teachers, especially. We can do better by educating families, providing resources for underrepresented groups, and taking personal and professional responsibility for the outcomes in our schools. Celebrating our successes for sure is awesome, but we also need to understand where we're failing.
Thank you, Seth. This is our final question. How do you plan to communicate and engage with the community, especially with marginalized or minority families?
Okay. Generally, I plan to engage with the members of the community with transparency, openness, and understanding that we aren't ever really just talking about students. We're talking about our children and what what drives them and what grows them. For the last 29 years, I've maintained an open door policy with my soldiers, their families, and the communities I live in. I'm always available, and I always take my responsibilities seriously. I don't know everything. I'm hardly ever the smartest person in the room. I appreciate input from anyone who has something to say, and I always look for win-win situations when they're available. I think I only ever ask that when we are discussing issues, we engage each other respectfully and with the desire to make things better. But I also understand that sometimes people just want to be heard, and I'm here for that. Like, I may not have walked in your footsteps, but I can empathize with you. And I promise to never dismiss someone's words just because I might not personally experience or believe those same things. Leaders do hard things. We're tasked to make hard decisions, and we're responsible for the entirety of the community, not just the ones we agree with. And I'm that leader.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you for running for office and for sharing your views with us. I'm Alina on behalf of the League of Women Voters of Kitsap. Thank you for watching. Please share this video and don't forget to return your primary ballots no later than 8 p.m. on Tuesday, August 5th.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Alina, a member of the League of Women Voters of Kitsap. The League of Women Voters does not support or oppose any candidate, but works to provide information about the candidates and issues before the vote. We are interviewing candidates who will appear on your primary ballot, which you should receive in the mail in mid-July. We will ask 3 questions. The candidates have 90 seconds to respond to each question. Let's go get to know Debra Strawhun. Debra, you'll have 90 seconds to introduce yourself and tell us why you chose to run for North Kitsap School Board Position 1.
Hi, yeah, I'm Debra Strawhun. I am a longtime educator. I've been a speech and language pathologist in public schools for a long time. I started in the early 80s. I've held multiple positions in school districts, mostly speech and language, so special education, but also I was a teacher on special assignment for a number of years, the early childhood coordinator, the person for special education who was responsible for regulatory guidance and compliance. And I was elected to the executive board of the union in the Bremerton School District for a long time, number of years. I was on the representative council and on their bargaining team for a long time. I have 3 boys who graduated from the North Kitsap High School District. North Kitsap High School, they were involved in sports and clubs and advanced placement classes, and now they're doing wonderfully. So I'm really wanting to give back to the community that has given our family so much. And, with all of the experience and the diverse looks at the school district, schools in general, I feel like I'm a good candidate for the North Kitsap School Board.
Thank you, Debra. So let's get into our first question. Do you support putting a new bond proposal on the ballot in 2026? If so, what would your priorities be for the funds? And if not, how would you plan to address district's aging facilities?
Yes, the short answer is yes. I would support a bond. The replacement of Pearson Elementary being the priority. It's well overdue. It's a school that needs to be replaced somehow, some way. The other 2 facilities that bond money could be used for is North Kitsap High School. A couple of the buildings need replacement. The main building does not. That was done with the 2001 bond that built Kingston High School. And the central kitchen has outgrown its facility as well. We'd have to go to the voters and see if they are interested in voting for a bond with the failure of the 2024 bond. So yeah, getting the sentiment of the voters is important, especially with declining enrollment. It might be a tough sell. We have been told that we could replace Pearson and North Kitsap and the central kitchen with levy dollars. However, that would take away that levy money for much needed maintenance throughout the district for quite a while. So other maintenance would go undone. So we don't want that. So yes, I would support a bond, particularly for the replacement of Pearson.
Thank you. Very thoughtful answer. Question 2, how will you support all children academically, physically, mentally, and against bullying, particularly children whose identities have led them to being undersupported or excluded historically?
Well, academically, supporting kids would mean looking at differentiated instruction. So all kids are taught at their instructional level, whether they're slow learners or fast learners. And they're taught, in that Goldilocks zone, not too easy, not too hard. If they need small group instruction, utilization of Title I, LAP, MLL, or multi-language learner programs, as well as special education would be important. Physically, having plenty of time for movement in the day, PE, recess, nursing services, nutritional services available. Mentally and emotionally, I think this is a huge deal these days, and that is providing a safe, supportive school-wide environment, social emotional learning, school-wide, counselor, at least a counselor in every school, to provide support for teachers and for kids who are having behavioral and emotional difficulties, and teachers trained in trauma-informed instruction so they can see those triggers. With all that, kids should know, should minimize bullying and should know where to go and have a plan if bullying occurs.
Yeah, that was a big question for 90 seconds. So
that was a huge question for 90 seconds. Really, I have a lot more to say about that, I'll tell you.
All right, so our final question is, how do you plan to communicate and engage with the community, especially with marginalized or minority families?
Well, I think the first step is to hold listening sessions throughout the district and understand the perspective and experiences from different stakeholders in the district. We all need to have a broader view of the world than we currently have. So yeah, holding listening sessions and understanding where other people are coming from is important. And also having translators available for the Latino families that may not feel as comfortable in English as in Spanish, as well as having all district, the district website, you have to ask for translation or things printed in Spanish, where, that for equal access, you would have the website and all district materials already available in Spanish. They shouldn't have to ask. Attending community events and community celebrations is important, as well as encouraging all parents to be involved in their child's classroom, at the child's school, on committees at the district level. If they can at all do that, then that's how I would reach out to the community.
Thank you. So thank you, Debra, for running for office and for sharing your views with us. I'm Alina on behalf of the League of Women Voters Kitsap. Thank you for watching, and please share this video. And don't forget to return your primary ballots no later than 8 p.m. on Tuesday, August 5th.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Hello, I'm Alina, a member of the League of Women Voters of Kitsap. The League of Women Voters does not support or oppose any candidate, but works to provide information about the candidates and issues before the vote. We are interviewing candidates who will appear on your primary ballot, which you should receive in the mail in mid-July. We will be asking 3 questions. The candidates have 90 seconds to answer each question. Let's get to know Dr. Leighton Thomas. Leighton, you have 90 seconds to introduce yourself and tell us why you chose to run for North Kitsap School Board Position 1.
Okay, great. Hi, my name is Leighton Thomas. I'm running for the school board because I believe that North Kitsap schools can and should be the top choice for families when they're deciding where to send their kids to school. I think I'm uniquely positioned to serve on the board. I have strategic planning and management experience from my early career. I worked with both public and private sector clients in areas of human capital and workforce strategic planning. And then I made a career switch. I became a public school teacher, and for the last 15 years, I've been working in or alongside schools in some capacity. I've been a math teacher, and I've worked all the way up at a State Department level position in education. So I bring a broad perspective when it comes to schools and how they work with communities and with each other, and a lot of empathy because I have lived the challenges. So I think that makes me quite unique. I also have specific expertise. I have a master's degree in curriculum and instruction, and I have a doctorate in education leadership and policy. Just as important as my experience is my mindset. I really care deeply about kids, and I think that public schools are an essential part of strong communities. And I approach this work with curiosity and a real commitment to listening. I believe in asking hard questions. I believe in engaging the community and making decisions that are grounded in what's best for students. I'm excited to serve, and I appreciate the opportunity to talk with you.
Great, thank you. So let's go to our first question. Do you support putting a new bond proposal on the ballot in 2026? If so, what would your priorities be for the funds? And if not, how would you plan to address the district's aging facilities?
Okay. I think this is definitely an issue that the current board is and the new board is going to be grappling with for a while. I had an opportunity to see the most recent presentation at the school board meeting, and I've had some conversations with folks on the facilities committee to start to get an understanding of all of the issues and ways to address them. I'm generally cautious about forming strong opinions about things until I have the information and the data, and I've had an opportunity to ask questions. And this feels like one of those areas that I don't feel comfortable coming out strongly with an opinion about what we need to do, and definitely not how we need to do it, because I just am not privy yet to the level of information that I feel like I would need to make an informed decision. Now, I would be looking to talk with the experts, those on the facilities committee and others that have been part of these conversations for a while. I would want to look at various budget scenarios and kind of look at the menu of all that needs to be done. And I don't know all of that information yet. And then I, would want to be working closely with the facilities committee and the fellow board members to develop a solid plan to decide if it is worthwhile putting out a bond and if we think we could get it passed. But I need more information at this point to have a really strong opinion.
All right, thank you. We'll move on to our second question. How will you support all children academically, physically, mentally, and against bullying, particularly children to them being undersupported or excluded historically?
So the board gets to set policy around this. The board gets to approve funding. The board gets to hire and work with the superintendent around culture and around the culture of the district. But in terms of getting on the ground, there's some limitations. But I think we can approach bullying from a couple different lenses as a board member, a crisis lens when it happens, addressing it with both the policies that are in place, following those and making sure that they have been followed and are being followed, revisiting the policies if they seem like they're not supporting us in the way that they need to. And then a preventative lens. So looking at data and figuring out, do we have pockets in our district where things are better or where they are not? And why are they better in some schools and not in others, or at certain age groups and not in others? And what can the data tell us about ways that we can get more specific about how we're either supporting schools or teachers and then students. We can approve funding and approve programs, and allow for budgets to be used to support teachers and school principals as they build cultures that are anti-bullying cultures, to better understand gateway behaviors, kind Okay, I'm out of time.
I know. It's a big question for 90 seconds.
Yeah, it's a really big topic. I could keep going for a while.
Right, but thank you.
Yeah.
So we'll move on to our final question,
Okay.
which is, how do you plan to communicate and engage with the community, especially with marginalized or minority families?
Yep. I really like this question because it's definitely something that is first and foremost in terms of what I think I can bring and what I think we need. I have had a lot of conversations, and one thing I'm hearing over and over and over again is that people want more transparency and they want opportunities to be heard. And I think one of my strengths is building relationships. I'm kind of a connector by nature, and I really would like to leverage that to help strengthen the relationships that exist. If I'm elected, I plan to host monthly listening sessions and really work to stay rooted in community conversation as we shape our schools and our future. I think that in terms of making sure that we're hearing from all the voices, we have to do two things. We have to create the opportunity for those voices to be heard. So we have to have venues and mechanisms for people to share their voice. And then we have to listen and pay attention to whose voice is not being heard, and we have to seek those out. And so that's proactive, intentional connection, whether it's, asking for invitations to events and community happenings within our sub communities around North Kitsap, or reaching out and saying, we're not hearing from you and we want to, and how can we invite you to the table to hear your perspective? So a little bit of proactive and a little bit of reactive is what I hope to see.
Great, thank you. So thank you so much for running for office and for sharing your views with us. I'm Alina on behalf of the League of Women Voters of Kitsap. Thank you for watching, and please share this video. And don't forget to return your primary ballots by 8 p.m. on Tuesday, August 5th.
1 month from today.
1 month.